Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we're going to start this Meet the T-61 off a little differently to see if you guys like it a little better. So right off the bat, we're going to show you the ship. Beautiful ship, if I'm honest. It is absolutely gorgeous. The camo, not overly done. I like it. It's not a bad ship. It is really nice looking. But let's go and look at our equipment. My standard equipment, aiming systems mod 1, gives you the minus 7% to dispersion of your main battery, plus the faster torpedo tubes and main and secondary. Or no, it was torpedo tubes traverse time, so they turn faster. Also, secondary battery firing range dispersion. None of that really matters. Not even so much the dispersion of the main battery. Yes, that's kind of important, but at the same time, if you ever need to use your guns on this thing, you're probably in trouble. And I'll go over that in a minute. So, torpedo tubes traverse, better. Okay, and then of course propulsion, because what is your only strength in this, other than concealment, is your speed. You need to get to speed quickly. And with destroyers having to start and stop a lot, propulsion comes in handy. Alright, so before we go too crazy here, I just want to go over the stats just real quick, super quick. So, survivability, 13,960 hit points. Artillery, 4x1, okay? That means you have 4 turrets, each of them fire 1 shell. Unlike your Japanese with your double barrels and your Americans with all the guns in the world. This is not a gunboat. Please do not use it as such. 4x1, 128mm. They've got decent range for a destroyer, but you can see we've knocked it down a little bit. The reload is 4.4 seconds. Now, it starts at 4 seconds, but because of the perks and stuff on my commander, it goes up to 4.5, which is why you do not want to use this as a gunboat. Other destroyers will rape you on DPM. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Just avoid it at all costs. So we'll go on to our torpedoes, which is the highlight of this thing. Starts with 8-kilometer torpedoes, but with this build, I'm up to 8.7 kilometers. I believe they start at 65 knots, and with my build are up to 69 knots. So really good torpedoes. AAA defense, 4x4 by 20s, 2x2 by 37s. It doesn't do very well against planes so far, at least not in my experience so far. Maneuverability, it's got very good maximum speed, 37 knots without hitting the boost. Once you get to the boost, you'll be going over 40, or at least that's been my experience. Concealment, 5.7 is what I've got it at right now. Starts out at 6 with my commander and everything, goes down to 5.7. Now keep in mind, this has permanent camo on it, so you've got that going for you down here. The 4.5 detectability with the 4.5 extra incoming dispersion, which is nice. And that's permanent. It starts out with our commander. I'll show you Maximilian von Spee. Or Spee. So we have his is the smoke generator reload time is quicker. That's his base trait. I've got Raizo Tanaka on here for the extra torpedo damage because you need everything you get. These torpedoes hit, but they're not the most destructive torpedoes you'll ever find. But I'll tell you what they are good at, and that is reload time, which I forgot to mention. So maybe we'll go back to that. But our inspiration, Reginald Tyrwhitt. Why? Because torpedo reload time, minus 0.9%. Plus you get minus 9% chance of steering gear impairment chance. I've also got subsurface venture, which gives you less reload time on your torps, and plus 4 torpedo speed. Now, this depends on your level. Right now, I've got it maxed out, so that helps. That's why my torpedoes are so fast and are under 1 minute. I think it's at 59 seconds, but we'll go back and check that out because I completely forgot to tell you. Detectability, minus 5%. Then we've got the torpedo range is increased with the destroyer's main guns being decreased as far as the range. So there's part of the reason why you don't want to use the guns in this. But that still ain't too bad. But this gives you extra movement speed. So this gives me an extra 4% and eventually will get me to 6% extra speed. but at the cost of the precision of your main guns, and that's another reason why you don't want to be using these. Yes, we've kind of offset that a little bit, so you've kind of got regular dispersion, but you still, with only 4 guns, you're going to be out DPM'd by everybody, even the Japanese destroyers, because they have the 2 guns per turret, just absolutely ruin this thing. So don't get into a gunfight if you can help it. And then finally, I have him legendary, which gives me an extra engine boost and helps with the duration and reload time of the engine boost. Now, let's quickly go back, since I forgot, and we'll go check out that reload stat on my Torps, which is 59.2. So yeah, we've got it down to 59, and they actually seem to reload pretty quick. They feel like they reload quick, because every time you're watching your torpedoes, seems like by the time they get to your target, you've already got the next set ready. So it's pretty nice. And like I said, those are going 8.7 kilometers. So pretty nice torpedoes. Not amazing, but pretty nice. And the damage is pretty good too. So on to the video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are going to give our honest first look at the T-61 German destroyer Tier 5 Premium. Now, I will go right off the bat and tell you that this ship is a torpedo boat. I have set it up as such. Now, you guys saw the build prior to the video starting, so you guys get a little bit of a head start on me there. But just know that I specifically set this thing up as a torpedo build. Stock has 8-kilometer torpedoes. They do 65 knots, you guys already know that. And it's got decent concealment, second in class actually, due to the Japanese having the lead there. Japanese, I think, is 5.6 stock. I could be wrong, but I think it's 5.6, and this starts out at a flat 6 stock. You can get that better, obviously, with camo, or the camo is stock, by the way. It's premium, dummy. Anyway, it's permanent camo. But other than that, just know that I set the thing up specifically for torpedoes. And the reason I say that is, do not ever get into a gunfight in this thing unless you are, like, hidden. Now, that being said, you're going to see me get into a gunfight later, but not with another destroyer or definitely a cruiser, because a cruiser will nuke you into no... Speaking of cruisers, that looks specifically like that's an Atlanta. Oh my god. Run away! Do not get spotted by the Mayhem! And that's also the worst. Oh god, he put up his freaking armor, or his radar. God, run away! Oh, they're already out. Shots are inbound. Get out of there. Just dodge, weave, duck. Do whatever you gotta do, just don't get shot. Okay, we're fine. We got outside this 9-kilometer range. Well, I think it's actually 8.5, but with perks and stuff, it goes up to 9. It's not preferable when you're in a destroyer and you get detected by an Atlanta right off the bat. Now, we are not top tier, obviously. There's an Atlanta out there, which means we're bottom tier. But that's not a problem in a destroyer, as I've said many a times, because the whole point of a destroyer is to stay hidden and just do everything you can with what you have at your disposal, which is concealment, speed, maneuverability, nasty torpedoes, and guns as a last resort. But don't use the guns in this thing necessarily, because it has, I believe, with my current build, the feeling of this thing is that it has the lowest DPM of any destroyer, with the exception of like the Matsuki and early Japanese that only had like 2 guns. But other than that, you don't want to get in a fight. Now, you can obviously get into a fight if they've already gotten hit or whatever. That's on you. But just trust me, you don't want to be using these guns very often. Let the torpedoes do the talking, and let this fantastic ship do what it does. Now, with that being said, I like the ship. I like it a lot, actually. It's quick, agile, very good looking, which are 3 amazing things, by the way, for a destroyer. It's got to be a good looking ship. Sorry. There are just some, glorified fishing boats out there that's got torpedoes strapped to them, and I don't like them. But this thing is a good looking ship. And it's very good with the current build that I have. And again, I am not a torpedo captain. You guys know this. I am not good in destroyers. I can handle myself, but when it comes to like the ins and outs and the instinct, I don't have it. I'm a battleship guy. My instinct is to park myself in front of the entire enemy team and slug it out until either they're dead or I'm dead. That's my instinct. This guy, this is a whole other ballgame when you're having to use cover and get close and launch your torpedoes at people that are unsuspecting, but then they're going to make the perfect turn and avoid every single freaking time. That's why I'm not much of a destroyer captain. That being said, we're going to have ourselves a bit of a game here. It does eventually happen every once in a while that I can have decent games. Now, as you can see, we are tailing a Colorado and an Arizona, both of which are currently blocked by islands, so I can't really engage them. But there is a cruiser directly out in front of me, which is, I believe, a Nuremberg, which is something I don't want to get in a fight with. So I'm using the cover of the islands to hide my approach to these guys, maintaining my distance from the enemy to keep me from getting spotted in between the gaps of the islands, and lining up what I assume is going to be an absolutely devastating strike on the enemy. Now, our cruiser, rightfully so, is like, dude, I just killed the Nuremberg, I'm out. And that's fine. But unfortunately, because he turned around and started sailing away, he can no longer spot the Colorado. Luckily, I spot the Colorado. I put all of the stuff out there. Now, I'm assuming he's going to slow down, and so I put the second set behind the first set, you know, just a little bit. So if he slows down, and what does he do? He immediately turns towards me, like he knows I'm launching torpedoes at him because he just got detected and he can't see what detected him. You know what I'm saying? It's like they know. If you've been torped more than once, you pretty much get that sinking feeling when you get detected. And we only get him with one of those torpedoes. Now this thing, the other good thing, when you have this thing fully kitted out for torpedoes and damage with your torpedoes, you get a really nice reload. It's a 4-barrel torpedo launcher and you get 2 of them. So 8 torpedoes in total, and it only takes 59 seconds to reload. Which means by the time your torpedoes reach the target, you've pretty much got them again. And that catches some people off guard. Now, obviously, he's starting to get awfully close to me. I'm keeping an eye on it. He's sailing right towards me. I have no choice. I go ahead, I launch my first set, I give him a chance. I want him to see me initially, and then I go ahead, hit my smoke, start to slow down, and as he's turning, I decide to go ahead, wait for it. He's going to get detected again. The cruiser is now re-engaging the battleship. He's going to see those first torpedoes, but what I don't want him to do is know that there's a second set exactly where he's heading. But he doesn't give me that opportunity. He immediately changes direction again and starts heading towards me. Now, this is both a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing because there's no way that I'm going to miss the next salvo. Bad thing is, these torpedoes don't do the most damage in the world. Max, they can do like 14,000, but against battleships, I'm averaging about 9,000 a pop, which is not preferable. Now, I get a little bit outside, I launch him, he's headed right for him. I've got to try to use the smoke to get away from him and use this island to my advantage, slip behind it. We are detected. We don't want to get shot here. We do land 2 torpedo hits. He took a nasty hit from that. And here we're going to try to use the rear guns, try to set a fire. Because I figure he just used his damage control for the flooding that we just caused. So if I can set a fire, he's going to die. That was the thought. Now the good news is, I already have torpedoes again. Because of the first set that we fired. So we're going to go ahead and line up another torpedo strike as soon as he comes around the island here. I don't know what he was thinking. If I was still in the thing, he saw me and where I was headed. He's more focused on the cruiser, which is fine with me, because that means I can sit here and shoot him. Nobody's shooting at me at the moment. There are only battleships left, and so all I have to do is try to set a fire. Now, the cruiser actually does set a fire, or maybe it was one of the guys off to my right. They actually set a fire, and unfortunately for them, he's not going to burn to death because my torpedo's going to get him first. And down he goes, giving us 28,000 damage and our first kill of the game. But we're not done, folks. We still got 2 full health battleships on the enemy team. I want some more damage. I know what you're thinking, but Spartan, you have literally done nothing this entire time. I beg to differ. I have tried, and trying is more than most people do in most matches. That's something. You can quote me on that, I'm sure. Like I said, not a destroyer captain. I'm doing the video out of, you know, I want you guys to get a look at this thing and decide if you want it yourself. Now, I personally like it for a destroyer. It's got good health, so that's going for you. But the guns are a downside. That is the only real downside to this thing. It's got good concealment, it's got good mobility, good maneuverability, even at speeds, and it's got good torpedoes. I believe mine will go 8.7 kilometers with my torpedo build, and they do it at 69 knots. Now, you can squeeze a little bit more out of it here and there if you want to tweak with things, or if you have a higher level commander. I understand that. But that's where I'm at right now. So you can probably squeeze out maybe 9 kilometers. I don't know. And it's pretty close. And then 70 knots at least. So, yeah, you got that to look forward to. These are speedy boy torpedoes, man. They don't mess around. Which is kind of nice. Because when you're getting this close to things to shoot them with torpedoes, you don't want to wait around for those American or even especially the British. Good God. I don't know how fast British torpedoes go, but in my experience with the British torpedoes, I hated them. But I'm at low levels, so I haven't actually got up to a point where you can use decent ships. I'm at the low levels, and you basically suetorp everything with your tube by tube. That's basically what I get into. Now, we're trying to thread the needle here. I waited a little while behind the island so that I could let these two split up so that I could hopefully squeeze in between them, because the last thing I want is to be detected in a destroyer with a Queen Elizabeth who's probably firing HE and an Arizona who's, regardless of firing HE, not a good day for me. Unfortunately, we do get detected by the Queen Elizabeth, and we are now in a world of crap. We don't have any smoke left because I've done wasted them, and we just got popped hard by the Queen Elizabeth, and they're reloading. Now notice I turn immediately to the left. I know that the Arizona can't detect me. It's only the Queen Elizabeth that was keeping me spotted. Luckily, hello Queen Elizabeth. Good night, Queen Elizabeth. That's no longer an issue, guys. We got 40,000 damage and our second kill of the day. But we're not done. There's still a full health Arizona out here, and it's time for him to meet his maker. Now, I'll give this Arizona some credit. He was trying to do some crazy Ivans, do whatever he can to get me to screw up. Unfortunately for him, this ship is so agile and so mobile that he just can't get me to screw up bad enough to detect me. He just can't. I'm watching the detectability ring, and I am keeping my distance, and there's no way he can see me. So what I'm going to be doing here is I assume that all Battleship players get complacent. Why? Because I've been in battleships and I get complacent myself, and I'm actually a decent battleship captain. Not the best, obviously, but I'm decent. So I assume that everybody else that I see in a battleship is going to be similar. Or worse. But mostly similar. So when I get guys like this that know they're trying to be torped, and they start changing direction, I smile a little bit inside. And then I cry a little inside, because it's me trying to torp them, and they never sail in a straight line for me. But that's okay, because regardless, we're going to get at least one hit on him, and that's going to take its toll. And we've about got our torpedoes back. Now, he just saw those, and so to him, he's like, all right, I've got some breathing room. He's not going to launch torpedoes again for a moment, so we're good. Problem is, once again, I have a whole mess of torpedoes loaded and ready for his face. So we give him one salvo, and I'm waiting for him to start turning, because he's done it multiple times now. He's turned as soon as I launch my torps. But he's not turning. He's maintaining course this time. So I go ahead and launch the second salvo. He's got half his health left. I know that I need to hit him with at least 3 torpedoes to finish him off. Or at least that's my guess anyway. So the good news is he's running out of room. He's going to have to go in a straight line eventually. And unfortunately for him, he picked the wrong time. because those torps do not wait around for anybody. And while he thought he was safe, he gets a brief rest, and then immediately gets torpedoed again, and down he goes. So we get a nice kill on an Arizona at the end. And I think you guys, hopefully, will have enjoyed that, if not just for the commentary. But 80,000 damage in a Tier 5 destroyer, not bad at all, especially from a guy who doesn't play destroyers very well. So let me know what you guys think below, if you guys like this thing or not, if you're going to pick it up. But I will see you in the next video.